You're not going to believe what just dropped online. Footage of BigXThaPlug's foes showing up at his team's funeral is blowing up the internet, and people are losing their minds. Who thought a memorial could turn into a live-action episode of real-life Game of Thrones? Were they there to pay respects, or were they sending a message? The clips hit like a bomb, slow-motion stares, whispered words, tense glances that scream trouble before anything even happens. Social media is on fire. TikTok, IG, Twitter, they're all buzzing with people trying to decode what went down. And the reactions? Insane. Some say it's nothing, some are calling it a full-on setup. You can't scroll past it without feeling that pit in your stomach, that, oh no, this isn't just a funeral kind of energy. BigXThaPlug's name is trending, his team, shook, and the city, watching. Rumors are running faster than the footage itself. Did someone come with straps? Were threats exchanged? Or is this just another chapter in a story nobody was ready to see unfold? By the time you see this video, your timeline's going to be flooded. And the only question left is, what happens next? And who really controls the narrative when drama hits this close to home? You thought funerals were supposed to be quiet, right? Sit down, say a prayer, shed a tear, maybe hug a cousin you haven't seen in years. Yeah, well, not this one. BigXThaPlug's team threw a memorial that's now being called the most watched funeral clip of 2026, and for reasons nobody could have predicted. Folks rolled up with cold stares, slow walks, the kind that tells you before anyone even says a word, something's about to pop off. The footage dropped online and immediately went viral. Within hours, every timeline in the country had people pausing, rewinding, talking to themselves, trying to figure out who came, why they came, and whether this was tribute or threat. And let me tell you, when you watch it, the tension is almost cinematic. It's like watching a Tarantino movie unfold in real life. But nobody knew the script. BigXThaPlug, as we all know, doesn't just roll with any squad. His circle is tight, loyal, day ones who've been through the mud and come out the other side. That's why when people saw certain faces strolling in, the whispers started immediately. These weren't random associates. Nah, these were the same foes who've been shadowing him, popping up in stories, making noise, the kind that's left him shaking his head at Instagram posts for weeks. People recognized them instantly, their jackets, their chains, their signature looks. Even from the angle of some shaky iPhone footage across the pews, you could see that energy shift. The air changed. Phones started coming out. People leaned in. And the internet. The internet exploded. Now, let's be clear, this wasn't a simple beef from last week. These faces carry history. Rumors of past confrontations, blocked collaborations, social media jabs, even alleged incidents at clubs and after-parties. One source I spoke to, let's call him an insider familiar with the DFW scene, told me they've been circling Big X's team for months. Every move, every post, every appearance, they've been lurking. This funeral? It's like a chessboard, and these folks just made a bold opening move. Bold doesn't even begin to cover it. This was cinematic tension made flesh, the kind of stuff that feeds conspiracy threads for years. The funeral itself had all the classic elements you'd expect: mourners, flowers, soft music, but then you notice the anomalies. Folks in the back looking sideways, whispering, phones held high, recording angles nobody else could catch. One clip shows a figure adjusting his hoodie, glancing around like he's calculating the perfect frame to step into someone else's line of sight. Another shot, barely 30 seconds long, captures two people passing each other in the hallway with eyes locked like predators sizing up their prey. It's subtle if you blink, but anyone paying attention? The warning lights were flashing. And when that video dropped on Twitter, people were losing their minds, debating whether it was disrespect or strategic intimidation. Meanwhile, the team itself? You could tell they felt the energy shift. BigXThaPlug's lieutenants, his closest, the ones who've been there through the wild nights, the chaos, the shows that ended in madness, were suddenly extra aware. You see them subtly adjusting positions, placing themselves strategically, scanning exits. Every tilt of a head, every whispered phrase, became fodder for analysts online trying to decode the tension. Are they here for a message? Someone typed under a viral clip. Or is it just posturing? Another commented, "Bro, it's like a funeral turned into a season finale of some street drama." And honestly, they weren't wrong. Now, let's add some context because this didn't happen in a vacuum. BigXThaPlug has had his fair share of public spats over the last year. There was the studio incident where allegedly a rival crew tried to snatch an unreleased track. There was that viral Instagram live where he shaded multiple industry folks without even naming names. Fans and haters alike still debate the implications. And who could forget the New Year's Eve situation last January? Yeah, that one. Shots fired outside a Dallas club, chaos everywhere, and social media still isn't over it. If you know the scene, you know every appearance, every minor interaction, every clip gets dissected like it's a trial. So, when these particular foes showed up at a funeral, social media was already primed. All it took was the right footage for the narrative to explode. Leaked reports? Oh yeah, they exist. Anonymous sources, close to the circle, we'll call them insiders who can't be named for obvious reasons, told me that this visit wasn't spontaneous. They planned it, said one source. They wanted Big X to feel it, to see their faces, know who's still breathing down his neck. That's heavy. And let's not sugarcoat it, folks on the internet immediately started speculating on motives. Some claimed it was revenge for past slights, some said it was an intimidation tactic to shake the team's confidence, and others, well, they straight up theorized it was a prelude to another incident. And when you watch the clip, there's no denying the tension. Hands fidget, eyes dart, the background chatter shifts. The funeral becomes a silent battlefield of presence and perception, but it wasn't all grim. People were reacting in real time, posting clips, adding commentary, memeing the whole situation. One particularly viral TikTok shows someone whispering, "This ain't even a funeral no more. It's a live reality check." Another IG reel slowed down the walk of one of the rivals. Captioned, "When you roll up but no Big X sees you." And then, of course, the classic Twitter thread exploded with speculation. Fan accounts, music blogs, even local news pages chiming in with, "Is this escalation or coincidence?" Within hours, it became a case study in viral tension. Everyone was talking. Everyone was watching. Everyone wanted to know what would happen next. And while the footage did its viral rounds, the whispers offline got louder. People who were actually at the funeral started sharing stories, names, vibes, the way folks moved. It was unreal, one attendee told me. You could literally feel the energy change. One second, it's all crying and prayers. The next, it's like everyone just knows something's about to happen. Others mentioned that security had to subtly intervene a few times, guiding certain individuals away from key areas, trying to prevent a full-on confrontation. The camera didn't catch all of that, but if you were there, you could feel it. That's what makes the footage so fascinating. It's only part of the story. And of course, the internet doesn't wait. They take what they see and run wild with it, filling in blanks with speculation, half-truths, and sometimes outright fiction. And now we start touching on history, because for this moment to hit as hard as it did, the background matters. BigXThaPlug didn't get here by accident. He's known for turning adversity into opportunity. His crew, day ones, loyal to the bone. They've weathered beefs, block beefs, label disputes, and viral controversies. That loyalty, that reputation, is what makes this clip hit so differently. When his rivals show up at a place meant for mourning, it's not just a bold move, it's a statement, a test, a flex. And the city knows it. The Dallas streets, always watching. Social media, feeding off it. The music industry, observing quietly, knowing these appearances, these viral moments, shape perception as much as any song or album drop. By the time the sun set on that day, the clip had been reshared tens of thousands of times. Reactions were polarized. Fans of BigXThaPlug were calling it disrespectful, saying this ain't how you honor anyone. Others were praising the drama, theorizing about possible outcomes, beefs reigniting in real time. And the rival accounts? Quiet for now, letting the footage do the talking. A few subtle reposts, cryptic captions, but nothing that confirmed or denied anything. The ambiguity? That's what kept eyes glued. That's what made this viral. That's what made the funeral clip not just news, but cultural currency. And just when you think it couldn't get any more tense, one insider drops a line that immediately circulates through private DM groups and closed chats. This funeral was the beginning of the real story. What you saw on IG? That's Act 1? Wait until Act 2. Of course, nobody knows exactly what Act 2 is, but the mere suggestion sends ripples through the community. Conspiracies start forming, hashtags start trending, and the rumor mill? Oh, it's working overtime. People start wondering, are we looking at a rivalry that's going national? Or is this just local drama amplified by social media? By now, the funeral footage wasn't just trending. It was dominating every timeline, every group chat, every corner of social media where the Dallas hip-hop scene lives and breathes. The questions started piling up immediately. Who came, why they came, and most importantly, what messages were being sent. People began piecing together past incidents, old videos, Instagram stories, even deleted tweets. Everything became evidence. Every whisper, every sideways glance caught on camera turned into a narrative. And the narrative was wild. Let's break down the players involved because context matters here. BigXThaPlug's team? Loyal, street smart, aware of the stakes, day ones who've been through the chaos that comes with his rise. These are the people who've had your back in every club, every tour stop, every beef that could have ended badly. Then you have the rivals, the ones who appeared at the funeral, the faces that instantly set the room on edge. These aren't just casual antagonists. They're the ones with a history. From alleged studio incidents where tracks went missing, to social media jabs that escalated into weeks-long subtweets and shady comments, they've been keeping score for a while. Some folks in the streets even whispered about the Fort Worth connection, an old grudge that supposedly went back to 2023, and now, with the memorial, the old wounds were being showcased in broad daylight. Anonymous insiders started leaking details, adding layers to the already explosive situation. One source close to the crew told me they weren't just there to watch or show respect. They made sure everyone saw them. It was calculated. From the way they walked to where they stood, everything was choreographed to make a statement without saying a word. And the kicker? Some of these insiders even claim that a few subtle gestures, hand placements, slight nods, even phone angles were signaling messages to other groups outside the funeral. Folks online went wild, analyzing every frame. TikTok clips slowed down to 0.25 speed. Comments dissected movements like forensic evidence, and Twitter threads theorized multiple potential outcomes, from direct confrontation to strategic intimidation. The internet is fast, but these conspiracies spread faster than any actual event ever could. Social media reactions were immediate, heated, and entirely unpredictable. On one viral IG reel, someone captioned a slow-motion clip of the rivals walking past the front pew. Y'all see how they moving? That's not respect, that's a power move. Another TikTok slowed down a fist bump between two members of BigXThaPlug's team, tagging it. This is them saying, "We see you, we ready." Meanwhile, the comment sections became full-blown debates, half the people insisting this was all normal funeral protocol, half convinced that this was the first act of a major street-level escalation. Fans, casual observers, and even local scene experts started weighing in with theories, creating a real-time rumor mill that made the original clip seem like just the tip of the iceberg, and it didn't stop there. Blogs and music pages that thrive on drama began spinning narratives, some even claiming insider knowledge that may or may not exist. Headlines like BigXThaPlug funeral footage sparks Dallas beef revival, or Rivals funeral cameo sends chilling message to Big X crew went up within hours. The reaction was a mix of fascination and fear. Comments flooded with people saying things like, "Y'all see this? Bro's funeral turned into a scene from a movie, and this is why I never go out in Dallas no more." It was wild. People were trying to decode the emotion behind the movement, the calculated looks, the silent intimidation. Now let's talk about the psychology of it. Because what's being caught on camera is just a fraction of the tension. For BigXThaPlug's team, seeing these faces in their space that should have been sacred, a place for mourning had to be jarring. And it wasn't just about fear. It was about recognition of power, hierarchy, and territoriality. These were people who've been observing his rise, monitoring his moves, waiting for a slip. And now, in the most public, high-stakes setting imaginable, they made their presence known. One insider described it as, "It's not just disrespect, it's letting you know we can enter your world anytime." That's heavy when you think about it. The lavish lifestyle of the rival crew added another layer of drama. Sources claim they arrived in customized whips, chains shining under the sunlight with subtle flexes that weren't meant for celebration but observation. You could see in some clips that their watches, jackets, and even shoe brands were carefully chosen, signaling wealth, influence, and authority. To the average viewer, this might seem trivial, but in the streets and in the hip-hop scene, these details communicate silently loudly. Who's on top? Who's got the juice? Who's staking their claim? And for fans watching online, these subtle displays spark discussions about reputation, credibility, and power dynamics. Meanwhile, rumors of behind-the-scenes corruption and manipulation began circulating. One supposed insider claimed that a certain label exec had given the rivals a heads-up about the funeral, allowing them to orchestrate their presence. They didn't just show up randomly, this source said. Someone high up wanted them there to stir the pot, to send a message, and now everyone's talking about it. Of course, no proof exists. But the beauty of the internet is that speculation spreads faster than facts. And within hours, these narratives became part of the conversation. Reddit threads exploded with people assigning motives, plotting possible retaliation, and predicting future clashes. Public reaction wasn't just online. Word on the streets was immediate. Local shops, gyms, even corner stores became unofficial discussion hubs. People who had been at the funeral but hadn't posted online started describing the tension they felt firsthand. You could hear a pin drop, one attendee allegedly said. It wasn't just a funeral. It was a demonstration. And in true internet fashion, these first-hand accounts were reposted, screenshotted, and turned into threads, each adding a layer of drama that made the footage seem even more ominous than it was. Even outside Dallas, the story traveled. Hip-hop communities across Texas, Atlanta, Memphis, and even LA began dissecting the footage. Analysts and self-proclaimed experts started breaking down the movements frame by frame. Some claimed that the rivals' posture, the subtle positioning, and even the direction of their gaze indicated a looming confrontation. Others argued it was all theater, a calculated PR move to keep BigXThaPlug relevant in news cycles and social media trends. Whether real or staged, the intensity was undeniable. People were glued to screens, pressing pause and rewind like this was live television, and let's not forget the human element, BigXThaPlug himself. Rumors suggest that footage exists of him noticing the rivals in real time, eyes narrowing, subtle body language shifting from calm to alert. Security reportedly stepped in, guiding him and his team through the ceremony, making sure the situation didn't escalate. But even in those moments, the tension was palpable. One anonymous witness supposedly said, "You could tell he knew who they were, knew what they were capable of, and knew the eyes of the city were on him." That energy? It's heavy. It hits. The story had expanded far beyond a funeral clip. Viral footage, insider leaks, public reaction, social media speculation, and subtle psychological warfare had combined to create a full-blown cultural event. People weren't just talking about what happened. They were theorizing what could happen next. And that's where this video picks up the fallout, the consequences, and the aftermath that's still unfolding in the shadows of Dallas and across the internet. The fallout from the funeral footage hit faster than anybody could have predicted. Within hours, rumors and conspiracies were flooding every corner of the Dallas hip-hop scene. People were trying to piece together motive, intent, and the possible chain reaction this public display might spark. And trust me, the internet does not sleep. Every side eye, every hand gesture caught on camera became a headline, a viral clip, a topic for discussion in groups, forums, and even podcasts. It was chaos, but the kind of chaos that makes people obsessed. By midweek, Alleged sources were coming forward with exclusive information. Some claim the rivals had been tipped off by someone with access to BigXThaPlug's inner circle. Others whispered that this was retaliation for incidents that allegedly happened years ago, a studio theft, an uncleared collab, and even some so-called unsolved slights that had been simmering under the surface. Whether true or not, the speculation alone fueled tension like gasoline on a fire. One anonymous source said, "This isn't just about respect. This is street politics on display." They wanted to show they could enter his space anytime and nothing would stop them. That statement spread like wildfire, with clips and screenshots reposted across Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. The public reaction was instantaneous, and it was brutal. Fans of BigXThaPlug flooded social media with anger, disbelief, and fear. Comments ranged from, "Y'all see this? That's not a funeral, that's a warning," to "Dallas out here wildin' again, why does it always gotta be like this?" Some fans went as far as creating compilations of past beefs, charting every incident involving these rival crews, turning what was supposed to be a moment of mourning into a full-blown investigation into street politics. Bloggers and entertainment outlets, sensing the viral potential, jumped on the story immediately. Headlines screamed things like, "BigXThaPlug's funeral footage sparks fresh Dallas beef and rivals show up." Dallas beef and rivals show up at Memorial City tents. The drama wasn't just contained. It exploded. Insiders began dropping alleged behind-the-scenes details. According to one source claiming to be close to security, there were heated whispers and gestures exchanged well before the camera started rolling. They weren't hiding anything, this source said. Everything was on display, like chess pieces being moved in slow motion. Big X's team knew who they were, who they represented, and the tension. Man, you could feel it. Security reportedly tried to keep interactions minimal, guiding BigXThaPlug and his crew past the rivals, but the energy in the room was palpable. Even small actions, a finger tap, a sideways glance, a smirk were interpreted as messages meant to provoke or intimidate. Then came the social media blowback. Clips of the rivals were reposted with captions like, "Big X's day one's gotta see this," or "Watch how they disrespect the fallen." Memes started circulating, some in poor taste, others just amplifying the tension. Reddit threads exploded with theories, ranging from a coordinated intimidation tactic to a planned escalation meant to spark a future confrontation. Every frame of footage became a point of debate, a subject for slow-motion analysis and evidence in an ongoing digital court of public opinion. And while nobody wanted to admit it, this kind of virality only amplified the rivals' presence and influence in a way they might have intended all along. Meanwhile, the psychological pressure on BigXThaPlug and his team was real. Sources describe late-night calls, emergency meetings, and strategy sessions to debrief what went down. One alleged insider said, "They had to process it mentally, like, okay, who's safe, who's loyal, who's watching us, and what's coming next." The attention wasn't just online. Street-level gossip amplified it in ways that made every corner, every club, and even casual encounters feel heightened. Some members reportedly avoided public spaces, scaled back appearances, and even reconsidered travel plans. It's one thing to manage beef online. It's another to see your rivals showing up at your team's funeral like it's a catwalk. As the week wore on, speculation shifted to potential legal consequences. Local law enforcement reportedly received dozens of calls from concerned citizens about possible intimidation, trespassing, and public safety violations. While no arrests were confirmed, whispers of investigations and watch lists circulated. One source claimed, "The cops are watching, but in these situations, it's hard to intervene without proof. They're taking notes, making sure they know who's who, and who's capable of escalating next, even without direct criminal charges." The implied threat was enough to keep everyone on edge. Financial and business angles also came into play. Some reports suggested that venues, sponsors, and collaborators were reassessing their ties to BigXThaPlug's circle, worried about negative optics. One unnamed promoter allegedly said, "We love the talent, but if the drama keeps spilling into public spaces like this, it makes it complicated." Safety, reputation, insurance, everything is under review. Whether exaggerated or true, these whispers added another layer of stakes. It wasn't just about street respect anymore. Livelihoods, partnerships, and future deals were potentially on the line. Of course, the internet didn't care about nuance. Every clip, every side-eye, every detail was dissected, debated, and weaponized in digital arguments. You had conspiracy threads claiming the funeral visit was a prelude to a larger power play in the Dallas scene. Some suggested it was a signal to other crews, a show of strength meant to destabilize BigXThaPlug's influence. Others argued it was all optics, a calculated move designed to generate views, streams, and engagement for everyone involved. Either way, the footage was doing what social media does best, creating hype, discussion, and drama at a level that traditional news couldn't replicate. Then came the human cost. Emotional fallout spread through the fanbase and BigXThaPlug's inner circle. One insider noted, "It's hard for the people grieving to see rivals walking around smiling, being filmed. That footage, for them, is a punch in the gut. It's not just about reputation, it's about respect for the fallen." That's why people are so triggered. And as the clips continued to circulate, even casual fans who hadn't attended the funeral felt the tension, like witnessing a conflict they weren't supposed to be part of, but couldn't look away from on a cultural level. This incident sparked debates across Dallas and beyond. Hip-hop commentators and local reporters weighed in on what it meant for community norms, the line between homage and provocation, and the role of social media in amplifying street conflicts. Panel discussions, YouTube breakdowns, and podcast analyses explored whether this was a turning point for how public spaces intersect with personal beefs, and whether artists like BigXThaPlug can navigate rising fame while managing rivals. Visibility. And as the days turned into weeks, the footage didn't lose momentum, it evolved. Reaction videos, fan compilations, and breakdown clips continued to resurface, each adding new speculation, emotion, and context. Some even claimed to have decoded hidden gestures, insider nods, and symbolic moves that were meant to communicate messages we may never fully understand. This wasn't just a viral clip anymore. It had become a cultural artifact, a moment frozen in time that captured tension, grief, loyalty, and rivalry in one frame. Yet, through all the chaos, one thing became crystal clear. BigXThaPlug's presence, influence, and legacy were being tested publicly in a way that few anticipated. Losing a team member is always a blow, but seeing rivals infiltrate a moment meant for mourning? That's a psychological strike, a challenge to authority, and a warning wrapped in the optics of respect. According to multiple alleged insiders, there were meetings, plans, and strategizing late into the nights, figuring out how to respond without letting things spiral out of control. Even beyond Dallas, the footage sparked international attention within hip-hop circles. Analysts compared it to infamous moments in music history, where public appearances, rivalries, and viral clips combined to create cultural tension that transcended the streets. Commentators drew parallels to other artists who faced similar situations, noting how strategy, loyalty, and mental resilience define who survives in the industry's high-stakes environment. And while legal, social, and professional consequences loomed, the personal toll was the heaviest. Families, friends, and team members expressed worry, grief, and anger, some publicly, others privately. Emotional reactions were captured in side footage and interviews, providing the raw human layer behind all the viral clips. As one insider put it, "People forget that behind all this drama are humans grieving." It's easy to get caught up in the virality, but the emotional weight is real. So where does this leave us? The rivals' presence at the funeral sent a shockwave across Dallas, social media, and the hip-hop world. It reignited old tensions, sparked new debates, and challenged BigXThaPlug's team to navigate grief, reputation, and street politics simultaneously. The footage continues to circulate, dissected, theorized, and debated, creating a narrative that will linger far beyond the funeral itself. In a world where social media immortalizes every gesture, every look, every subtle movement, the impact of those few minutes of video is unmatched. And that's the reality. A single clip, a few faces, and a funeral became a catalyst for chaos, speculation, and emotional intensity that no one could ignore. BigXThaPlug's crew has to process the aftermath, weigh their next moves, and consider every potential ripple effect. The rivals? They made their presence known, sent a message, and ensured their name is now permanently linked to this moment in Dallas history. And for the rest of us watching, it's a reminder of how quickly respect, rivalry, and emotion collide in the streets, in music and online all at the same time. The story isn't over. Every post, every clip, every new reaction continues to add chapters to what might be one of the most talked about incidents in recent Dallas hip-hop history. And one thing is clear, the footage will be replayed, analyzed, and dissected for years. BigXThaPlug, his team, the rivals, and everyone involved are now part of a narrative that blends grief, strategy, tension, and virality into a cultural moment that no one can ignore. The aftermath isn't just about what happened at the funeral. It's about power, influence, loyalty, and perception. It's about who moves first, who interprets the signals correctly, and who survives both the street-level politics and the court of public opinion. For BigXThaPlug, the test is ongoing. For the rivals, the statement is made. And for the fans and internet sleuths, the footage keeps giving, keeping everyone hooked, speculating, and waiting for the next move. And just like that, the footage of BigXThaPlug's rivals at his team's funeral isn't just a clip anymore. It's a full-blown story that's still unfolding. What does it really mean for the streets? For his crew? For the legacy of the fallen? Was it a power move, a warning, or just reckless disrespect? And the question everyone's asking, how will Big X respond next? Because one thing's certain, in this game, silence isn't always safety. The city is watching. Fans are debating. Analysts are breaking it down frame by frame. And somewhere in all of this chaos, reputations are being rewritten. Who's loyal, who's fake, and who's about to make the wrong move in public again? Every post, every repost, every reaction adds another layer to the story, and none of it's slowing down. So here's what our